Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. Thank you all for joining me. As time goes on, we're going to see more and more divisive groups springing up all over this country. Let me tell you something. I have said this so many times, but I cannot run away from it. I cannot escape it. I cannot overlook it. There is a war coming. The liberals are not going to give up. Do not rest on this idea that Trump has been reelected. The left is not going to let you rest in peace. And I hate to sound cynical, okay? And perhaps a new golden age is coming, okay? But what we're seeing, and I believe it will be, but don't believe it's going to happen without some opposition. And what I'm talking about here is all of these anti-Trump groups are coming up out of nowhere. The latest one is called MATGA, I believe it's called MATGA, which is kind of like a mockery of the MAGA movement. And essentially, MATGA is a anti-Trump women's movement. And I want to read you guys this article. It's going to define what exactly this MATGA means, because it's spelled M-A-T-G-A, M-A-T-G-A. And I'm going to read you this article. You're going to find out exactly what MATGA is all about, okay? And then you can determine for yourself if it's just a metaphor for women fighting against male misogyny, or is it something else happening here that is extremely dangerous? So let's get right into this article here. In the wake of Tuesday's election results, by the way, this is from Newsweek. In the wake of Tuesday's election results, some women frustrated by President-elect Donald Trump's return to the White House are using a centuries-old metaphor about women poisoning their husbands to channel their disappointment, causing a stir online. The Make Aqua Tofana Great Again. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's spelled T-O-F-A-N-A, Great Again. The Make Aqua Tofana Great Again, or MATGA movement, is a recent online trend in which some women humorously advocate for, quote, reviving aqua tofana, a 17th century poison used by women to kill and escape their abusive husbands. Now, supposedly, according to this article, it's a metaphor. Okay, we can argue that, but let's go further. Aqua tofana, named after its alleged creator, Yelio Tofana, was a deadly, undetectable poison used across Italy, gaining notoriety for its stealth and potency. Now, forgive me for that slip of the tongue. I have a lips. Sorry. But you get the point. What's crazy about this is I've never heard this is my first time even hearing about this. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with this, but this is pretty disturbing. The article goes on to say the MATGA trend has become synonymous with Tofana, seemingly emerging as a satirical expression of frustration over certain political issues, mainly targeting Trump and men who support conservative policies that affect women. In a video posted on Grabion, women embracing the trend appear with captions such as, quote, "Sure, my body, your choice," before pouring unknown liquids into drinks. Now, accordingly, this is what the image portrayed. I don't know, I didn't see it, but according to this article, this is what it portrayed. This is juxtaposed with medieval images of women pouring potions, while the captions tell the story of Tofana, who was, quote, responsible for the deaths of over 600 abusive husbands in 17th century Italy. Now just follow this. One woman in the video leans towards the camera and whispers, "Aqua tofana, am I right?" Aqua tofana, if you know, you know. Some have framed the trend as a modern-day reminder of the long-standing fight for women's rights. Meanwhile, critics argue that referencing a deadly poison, even in jest, can send the wrong message. No kidding. One user on X, formerly known as Twitter, shared the video referring to the 4B movement. And see, I'm hearing this a lot. White women, black women are getting on. See, Oh my God, people would just see what's going on here. All these movements, man, we are being pitted against each other. But let's go on. Referring to the 4B movement, which saw a surge after Trump's win. First, Karens on TikTok and Instagram kicked off the 4B movement, refusing to marry, have children, date, or have relationships with men. So I wonder what they're doing. Probably having relationships with each other. I said it, and you know what I'm talking about. Because what else you gonna do? What else you gonna do? I mentioned that in my sermon, by the way, too. So if people are offended, then you just be offended. Because this is ridiculous. Okay, this is absolutely ridiculous. And I see something dangerous here. But anyway, they started wearing blue bracelets and getting blue heart tattoos to recognize each other in public as Kamala Harris voters, and this soon evolved into a MATGA movement. The first video got over 1.3 million likes. Think about that. 1.3 million likes, which shows, or at least suggests, that there are 1.3 million people that agree with this. So you don't need, let me tell you something here. You don't need 20 million people who agree with this. All you need is 1.3 million or even less than that to be disabled enough to cause harm to the men that they're with. Now, somebody be going to say, man, Mr. Bowling, you're stretching this out of line. You're stretching this out. But I'm going to get to the details of this. I'm going to give you my commentary on it. In response to the post, Georgia Representative Taylor Greene raised an alarm to the FBI, tagging the agency in her post and calling for an investigation into the public death threats. Why not? She says, these are public death threats and must be investigated, Greene wrote. These women are telling others how to poison and murder men because they are angry over the election. If you track down January 6 rioters, obviously, parents angry at school boards, and parents angry at school boards, then you better go after these psychopaths. And that's exactly what the FBI did. The FBI went after people that was in January 6 rioters or whatever, and after parents that were angry at the school boards for pushing LGBT community concepts on their children and a whole host of other stuff. What happens? The FBI goes after them because they're a threat to the country. They're a threat to democracy. And here we have this group, okay, this new group, this new trend, part of the FB movement, suggesting, whether it's in jest or a metaphor, to poison your husbands because of his election choices. Think about it. Think about it. But anyway, in an email statement to Newsweek on Monday, a spokesperson for the FBI said, quote, the FBI investigates federal crimes and threats to the national security. We will never open an investigation based solely on First Amendment protective activity. Well, they got a point there. Okay, because that's not federal. That's not federal. As always, we encourage members of the public to report threats of physical violence to local law enforcement. Tips or complaints relating to federal crimes and threats to the national security can be submitted to the FBI at, they give the line, FBI, whatever. Yeah, and that is true. That's true. Something like that is not a threat to national security. But it does suggest a political threat. It does suggest, because of people, and I say suggest, because of a person's political views, and because of a person's political opinions, and because of a person's political choices, that, hey, you can off your husband with this, with whatever, okay, because of his political choices in supporting Trump. Because by doing so, hey, you are fighting against misogyny and the patriarchy. It's just insane, man. But anyway, let's go on. Newsweek reached out to Greene via email on Monday outside of working hours for comment. It is not the first time activists have used dark humor or historical references to convey social commentary, discontent, or resistance. Some see movements such as this as a way to reclaim symbols of autonomy from an era when women had few options to assert themselves. And they did. This was of a time where women had few rights, and I could understand that. But man, let's face it, I saw the burning bed, and I know how that was, This man was clearly abusive to his wife to the point where she couldn't get any help anywhere, and she ended up, setting him ablaze. I understand a situation like this, but poisoning your man because of his choice to vote for Trump, this shows how ignorant these women really are. And I'm going to get into that. Says, In an email statement to Newsweek on Friday, Alicia Nuda from the University of York in the UK, who researches and teaches on gender and sexuality, said, of course, if she's going to be saying something crazy, watch it. I think that the MATGA movement is urging women to stand up against sexism and misogyny in a satirical and certainly provocative way. Of course, she's going to say something stupid like that. Instead of condemning MATGA, we should be outraged by what members of MATGA and their Huron Giulio Tefani before them in 17th century Italy are fighting against. Continuous attack on women's freedoms. This is extremist feminism at its extreme level. At the extreme level. That's all I'm gonna read right there. Because this you can go to Newsweek and check that out yourself. But I wanted to read that because some of you may have heard of this before. Some of you may not have heard of it. Some of you may have seen it in some kind of on Twitter posts or whatever. This is the first time I've ran across it. But I had to speak out against it. And first thing is this. I say that, I'll repeat that. We have to be careful. We cannot rest on our morals. We cannot rest on this idea that Trump has been reelected. We have to be careful as men. We have to be careful as a nation. We have to be careful as conservatives. We have to be careful as human beings made in the image of God. Although some people, it seems like they don't seem to be made in the image of God, because the image of God has been tainted in them because they have allowed the dark side of their nature to take complete control. This situation here with this MATGA movement is nothing more than another attempt, in my opinion, of the communists who have infiltrated our society and community, and Marxists rather, to create divisions and create groups to oppose each other in order to bring about revolution. I am so sick and tired of people not seeing this. That's what I'm sick and tired of. I'm sick and tired of people not seeing it. Now, to the men, if there's any men watching this, man, we can't take this and say, oh, that's just a metaphor. That don't mean nothing. Let me tell you something. And I'm going to say this, and this is for all of those who are on this channel, on watching this video rather, that believe in the spiritual realm. I'm going to repeat this. I believe that this is spiritual. There's demonic spirits working behind this, stirring the people's minds up. That's why I believe personally a lot of people can't see it. They can't see it no matter how much you explain it to them because it's demonic. The purpose of Satan is to destroy this country for various reasons I'm not going to get into in this video, okay? It's an intense spiritual battle. So for those of you that are watching this video, we need to continuously pray all the time and begin to push against these spiritual demonic forces. The book of Ephesians chapter 6 in the New Testament says, the Christians do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against spiritual wickedness in high places. What Paul the Apostle was saying in the New Testament book of Ephesians chapter 6 is that the real battle is not what you physically see. The real battle is not MATGA. The real battle is not the socialists. The real battle is not the communists. The real battle is not the radicals. The real battle is the spiritual forces behind these physical avatars, if you will. That's where the real forces are, and therefore we need to continuously pray to combat and push against these spiritual forces. But on a purely natural side, as men, we need to continuously stay alert. I hate to say that, man. But to be honest with you, as men, we need to stay very alert. And I believe that this is going to be a call for men to be truly, truly strong. We've made this choice to vote for Trump, not to take away the rights of a woman. Okay, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But because Kamala Harris was such a terrible candidate, she was a terrible person. Her policies was not going to help the American people, and most men understood that. Now, you can argue all day, well, most men didn't want to, America's not ready for a female president. Okay, maybe let's just say a significant number of men in this country are not ready for a female president. Okay, fine. Fine. What's the big deal? The whole idea of Trump taking a woman's rights over her body away from her is a bunch of nonsense. How many times have conservatives have to constantly say to people that Trump is not going to take a woman's right away from her to supposedly delete her child? First of all, what right are you talking about? Think about it. They're talking about fighting against misogyny and against, men trying to control them. In what way? What way? I'm arguing. In what way is Trump and men trying to take your rights from you as a woman? Where? Look at all these popular women, billionaires, and people like Oprah Winfrey and all the rest who actually push for this nonsense. Think about these people. Most men look up to these women. I don't know why. Some of them because they don't have no morals or values. But a lot of men would look up to these women as examples of strength and stability. So how is it that Trump and conservative men are taking away your rights from you? Are you talking about taking away your rights to delete your child? Is that what you're arguing? Because if that's the case, then you're wrong, number one, because we're going to go back to this again. When the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, they merely overturned it in the sense that it returned it back to the states. How many times that had to be said again? How many times that had to be said? They returned it back to the states, which means that if you want to get an abortion and your state says it's okay, you can get it. If your state says it's not okay, you may have to travel somewhere else to get it. But the federal government had no right to be mandating all the states to say, hey, you got to honor abortion. That's baloney. Okay, it's given back into the states. Okay, so your right to get it to off your child is and I'm just gonna be real with you, has not been taken from you. So what is this MATGA movement all about? What are all these the 4B movement, all this other nonsense all about really? Because if you think this is going to hurt real strong men, it's not. Let me tell you something about me. I'm a man of the Most High God. I'm a child of the Most High God. I've been serving God since 16. I'm 55 right now. Who God has for me, she's for me. And whether she's a Democrat or a Republican, she's going to love to be with me and she's going to love me for me. You understand what I'm saying? So if she's some cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, far left liberal, I wouldn't want to sit in the seat of that woman. I wouldn't want to look at her. I wouldn't want to smell her. I wouldn't want to have anything to do with her because she needs Jesus. Really, for one, she really truly needs the Lord. Okay. And my Christian friend is watching this. I'm praying for these people. They need the Lord bad. Okay. These kind of women need the Lord bad. But I don't want to have anything to do with her. Why? I'm a little bit stronger than that, okay? As a matter of fact, I'm a whole lot stronger than that. So I don't need no woman like that, okay? Forget that. Who God has for me is for me. And any woman that the Lord bless me with, she's going to be blessed and I'm going to be blessed. That's the first thing. But let's talk a little bit about this whole idea that the woman that represents this, whatever her name was that I read on here, talking about, well, we shouldn't be upset about this. This is just, we need to be fighting against men. I'm paraphrasing the words, against the misogyny and all. No, that's a bunch of bull crap. Men are not trying to stop. Men in America right now are not trying to stop women from choosing whatever they want to choose. Stop it. Just stop it. What? Like I said before, what? Trying to create some laws to keep you from offing your baby? We got places right now, we got legislation trying to push for the deletion of your baby at 9 months old. Basically, the baby comes out of your stomach, wah, and you can delete the baby. Are you sick? Are you depraved? Are you possessed? That's butchery, and no human being on the face of the earth is going to permit it. That is not a woman's right. You act like you Art the Clown or something. Is that what you want to be? Is these women are these women the female versions of Art the Clown? Is that what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me your right is? You want to be Art the Clown and you want to off your baby at 9 months? Is that what you're telling me? Any real man is not going to push some kind of legislation to permit that. And a real woman is not either. Stop it. Stop it. You need help, boo-boo. You need help. And this MATGA stuff is just a bunch of nonsense. People, pay attention. Pay attention to what these people are doing, man. Don't let these Marxists destroy this country. We got to push back with information. We got to push back with brains. We got to push back with prayer. We got to push back with righteousness and morality. We got to push back with our votes and putting the right people in office like we did with Trump. America got together. Blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians, they all got together and they put him back in. And like I said, we're going to be opposed. Don't think the far left radicals are going to sit back passively and say we're going to take it. They're not. And they're showing this with this nonsense, with this MATGA movement and all this other stuff. But that's fine. Get, like Bishop T.J. used to always say, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. Well, I'm ready, baby. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready spiritually and physically. We ain't going to have no foolishness. We ain't going to have that. But I wanted to say that, man, sometimes we want to go off. I really do. I be wanting to go off like my boy Jared Green. I be wanting to go off, man. And I swear, because these people are insane in the brain. There's no other way of looking at it. And you can't justify this at all. And even if this, let me end the video on this. Even if this is a metaphor, as the person said, Ms. Green said, you're sending a bad message. When liberal pundits on the mainstream media and Democratic politicians were accusing Trump of being Hitler, he's going to make your life a living hell, he's going to be a dictator, over and over and over and over again. Whether you want to argue, that was just a metaphor. It really wasn't really serious. Well, apparently, a few Americans, if you want to call them Americans, didn't think so because the man was, somebody tried to take him out twice. So could we argue this whole idea with this MATGA movement and it's supposed to be some kind of poison that 17th century women used to delete their husbands, abusive husbands? Whether you want to call it a metaphor or not, I'm pretty sure there's some unstable-minded women out there that are upset with their men, their husbands or their boyfriends or whatever, or their mates or whatever, who voted for Trump. And they're unstable and are so demonically messed up in their head that they're willing to do something physically horrible and harmful to their men. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. I pray it doesn't happen. Folks, stay alert. Stay alert. But that's what I had to say about that. What do you guys think about this insanity, in my opinion? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe to my channel. God bless you all. See you again.